Hello all, welcome to join this GEG APAC event. This is the YouTube live event for the topic of coding in action with Google Action Script. And this is held by GEG. Actually, what is GEG? GEG stands for Google Educator Groups. Google Educator Groups connect passionate educators together, and then we can discuss a lot of our educational ideas and share around us and then support each other. Actually, we are welcome anyone to join this group. We have a lot of free webinars, event like online and offline event. So if you want to join us, you can actually join our Facebook page because sometimes our Facebook page will have some English content. So you may take a look of it. This may be helpful for you. And wait a moment, I will share the link here. And this is the GEG APAC event. What is the meaning of APAC? Actually, APAC is the region in the Asia. So we have a lot of GEGs coordinate together, and then we hold a large webinar event in YouTube Live. And this event, we have a lot of language. So you can find language with English, the Chinese in Taiwan, and Chinese in Cantonese, and maybe you can look at it on Japanese. So we have a lot of language. So you can also take a look of this link if you want to join some special section that you are interested in. Yes, I will also put the link here. The GEG APAC official page. Okay, so now I'm going to pass the time to our speaker, Hamlet. So, Hamlet, you can share your screen and then we can start.
Thank you, Jason. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Hamlet, and I am a tech coach at HK-IS, Hong Kong International School. As you can see on the screen, wait, I should have shared that. Yeah. So I'll wait for Jason to put it on the screen.
Can you share the screen again? Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, it should be there. Okay, so this is today we're going to talk about Google Apps script, and my email is there, and also my Twitter handle. So feel free to add me. You can also access this presentation using this shortened link bit.ly GEG 2020-GAS. So one thing that I just want to correct is when I put the title in, I kept calling Google App Script as Google Script, which is a bit different, but it should be the proper title is Google App Script. So this is the title, Coding in Action with Google Apps Script. So here are the learning objectives today. Hopefully we will have enough time to cover all of them. The idea is an introduction to Google App Script. I'm not a professional developer. I do teach computer science. I just use Google App Scripts to do a lot of fun projects and sometimes really practical applications with special projects when I work with different teachers. So these are the objectives. The first one is understanding what is Google App Script anyway. And then we're going to describe how we may be able to use Google App Scripts to automate or create a specialized or customized workflow using some use case scenarios. Like I'm going to share some cases, some examples that I used Google App Script in my school. And you have a chance to write a simple Google App Script. Don't worry about it. You don't really need to write anything per se. You can actually copy and paste some code, but I would like you to try it yourself so that you can have some experience on how easy it can be. And lastly, we're going to describe, I'm going to go a little bit deeper on showing you how we can use Google App Script to do merging and create certificates by using Google Form and Google Slides. The target audience today is, first of all, everyone. If you're interested in, feel free to join. But if you have some experience in coding, especially in Google in JavaScript, it will be very easy to for you to just try it out. Also, if you are a computer science teacher or in ICT teacher, you can explore the possibility of using it in your class to introduce the idea of web application, computational thinking, and all those concepts that maybe you're using another language to teach. Because Google Apps Script connects with many other applications and make it more real when we create. Before we dive in, there are some housekeeping items. Firstly, you can post the questions in the YouTube live chat. You can also access the resources using this link. And if because I cannot post the link directly in the live chat, I may pass it to Jason. He's going to put it in live chat, or I'll just modify the presentation on the go, so that you can just click on the link while you're accessing this document. One thing though, if you are using a phone, you may not be able to, a mobile device, you may not be able to do the scripting and do it in real time, because you may have to quit YouTube app when you are doing it. So I highly recommend, if you have access to a desktop or laptop computer, use it and use Google Chrome with it. It will be the best environment for you to play with the Google Apps Script environment. So first question, what is Google Script? So in the past, in the old days before we have Google Docs and Google Apps, people create automation. Like in Excel, there could be some macro. And there are some also like some other automated scripts, but the most, I would say the most similar kind of application or equivalent of Google Script in the old days will be the macro script in Microsoft Office. But it is much more powerful. This is an excerpt from this link, the AppScript website. Basically, Google Apps Script is a script that Google opens so that we can kind of control and access different Google Apps applications in Google Suite. For example, you can write some script and automate sending emails, creating calendar events, organizing your Drive, files and documents, access rights, so on and so forth. And you don't have to install anything. Like if you're developing a program using Swift, you may need to install Xcode. Or if you're doing Python, you may want to use PyCharm or some other IDEs. For Google Apps Scripts, you just need a browser, and then you will have access to almost everything that Google provide in the Google Suite. These are all the platforms that you can kind of access, control, or interact with using Google Apps Script. That which includes Google Spreadsheet, Google Doc, Google Slides, Google Form, Google Drive, Gmail, Calendar, even Google Hangouts, Google Sites, Contact, Groups, Google Maps, and even Google Translate. It is pretty cool. So there are things that we can do directly in browser, but when we are doing it in a massive scale, or we're trying to use it with a large group of people, we can write a script and almost create anything that you can imagine. Something that we always use to, as an example, to demonstrate the power of it is using Google Script to collect data and automate invitations and other means of interaction with the users. So in short, Google Apps Script is like the macro for Google's Suite. So instead of controlling Microsoft product, we are controlling Google Apps and Google applications. So quickly, we have already completed the first learning objective. I can explain what is Google Apps Script. So I'll just look at the live chat really quickly and see if there's any question. If not, I'm going to move on to the next one. Do you have any question regarding what Google Apps Script is? Awesome. So we're going to move on. The second point is I can explain how Google Apps Script can automate G Suite for education workflow. And I'm going to show you, explain that through a few use case scenarios. So there's some pop-up. Let me just go quickly. Yes, I have it open. 1 second. All right. So, so Google Apps Script. I'm going to show you a few examples. The first one will be this. It's a very simple Google form. So I usually use Google Form in conjunction with Google Apps Script because users can just use the Google Form and I don't need to write any interface. People can just fill in the form and I can write the script in the back end. What is this exactly? This one is an individual fitness record. So in our school, students need to do some individual fitness. Like, for example, they need to do some exercise at a certain level of like heart rate. And there are different things that they have to do and they have to record it. The teachers will have access to a spreadsheet like this and they can mark down what have the students done. But then the problem is for students, they may not be able to keep track of what they've done in the past weeks or past months, right? So, and we cannot just share these spreadsheets with students because they are going to see other people's record as well. So what I did is I created a Google form for students to put in their student ID here and hit submit. This Google form is limited to students at our school. So they cannot just go on and fill in this form from for outsiders. And when students are filling in this form, we'll collect their email address so we can do some kind of authentication or verification on whether the students who's using this form is checking their own record. Once we've received that information, the script will just go over this spreadsheet, get that data from that particular row, and create a table and send it to the students. Then they're going to receive their own record without spending too much time developing a database. This is the database that already come with write access, and we can share that with multiple teachers. As you can see here, there are we have 5 PE teachers, and they're all using this form. They don't need to just go into this document and copy and paste it for others when the students ask for their own record. Students can just check it by themselves. So that's one way of using it. Another use case scenario is for class observation. So in our school, our administrators are required to do class observation several times a year. And there's a rubrics for giving feedbacks to teachers. So in the old days, they usually get a piece of paper, mark it on the rubrics, and send it to the teachers. The problem is it takes time, and sometimes the administrators may want to modify it and then maybe making another copy, photocopy, and keep it in the drawer, which makes it very complicated to manage, and it's hard to track. And sometimes they may even forget to send it to the teachers. So I created this Google form, and the administrator can just use this form and put the teacher's email here. And then once they have completed the form, they submit it. They'll have a master sheet containing all the feedback they have filled in. And the teachers are going to receive an email similar to this. This one is a demonstration. So basically, it pick up every single field in the form and send it in a table format and send it to the teacher by email. There are, of course, other extensions and add-ons that can do something similar. But this one is very specific because it sends it to the teacher by looking at the teacher field. And also, I formatted in a table format. I put it in a table format, so it's easier to view. So this is one way of using Google Script to automate workflow, not just for students, but also for teachers. And one thing that I did recently is doing this professional learning while we're doing this remote learning thing in our school, right? Because everyone's at school. I'm still doing some professional learning and professional development training sessions. But people have to sign up for some sessions so that I can send them the link or materials. This is a form that I've created. The coolest thing about this one is once they've checked this box and submit and sign up for that session, I will send an invitation to them via Google Calendar. So just going to go quickly to the Google Calendar. And then what I did is I created a Google Calendar, which is specifically for professional learning. And then you see that these people who have signed up, they will receive an invitation directly. I don't even need to go back, check the form, and then send an invitation, because we have close to 100 staff here. If they all sign up and I have to go over every single submission, I'm not going to be able to sleep. So I've written this script, and I've been using it in the past 2 months. It worked pretty well, and I can show you something that I did in the past few weeks. So, for example, here are some professional learning sessions that I did. And then there are people who sign up for different sessions like this. So let me double check one that is more with more people. Should be this one, yes. All right, so as you can see, people sign up for this, and then they receive an invitation. So that's another way of using Google Script. So as you can see, it's almost endless. The possibilities are like endless as long as you know how Google apps, like different Google applications work. You can almost automate them as much as you want. This is how you can use Google App Script to automate the workflow. And of course, we're not going to stop there by just showing you some use case. We're going to move on and try to do some coding. So if you want to see more examples, this is the link, and you can just check out the examples shared by Google. All right, so there are some kind of code recipes that people have already created. For example, like analyze, let's see, create a mail merge using Gmail and Google Sheets. And this one respond to feedback from students in a course. So probably using a Google form and then send an email to students. There are many other use cases, and I'm not going to cover all of them. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just quickly show this one. All right, and then, all right, so next, we're going to try writing a Google App Script. So before we move on and start doing this Google App Script kind of live demo, do you have any question regarding Google App Script's application? I'm going to spend some time on the live chat. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to the next part, which is write a simple app script. Sorry. I'm going to just show you how to write a script. So I'm using an example from the developers website by Google. So just bear with me really quickly. I'm going to just quickly turn off the notification so that it wouldn't keep popping up like Google Hangouts. Just keep 1 second. Okay, so you can visit this link, developers.google.com app scripts overview. Alternatively, what you can do is you can just Google first Google App Script, and then you can just find this page, overview of Google App Script. All right, so actually you can find it on Google Docs interface fairly easily. If you go to New, and then you go to More, that's actually something that most people don't use. It's called Google App Script, and then you can start writing a script there. Alternatively, you can just go to script.google.com. All right, it's going to bring you to your Google to this page where you can start writing your Google script. Let's start a new project. And now it's empty, right? So this is where you can start writing the script. And when we can switch back to this page, I'm going to put it in a split screen. All right. So we can change the name of this script. As a tradition, we can call it Hello World. All right. So Hello World is saving. And then on this page, it actually shows you a demo. Like we can simply copy and paste it. All right. So if you look at the script and you are a coder or you have experience in coding, you may notice the syntax or the grammar of this coding of this Google script, Google App script. It is very similar to to JavaScript, and it is actually based on Google's JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, it's fairly straightforward. If you don't, still, we can start by taking some free courses on JavaScript. But today we're not going to cover that part. We're just going to dive in and see what we can do with Google Script, Google App Script. So here is a function, all right? So we can just run it and see how it works. So now we are in Google Script, and if you have any coding experience, this one is almost like the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. And you can write script, and then once you save it, you can go to this drop-down and select one of the functions that you have written. Before I hit play, let's have a look at the code. So create and send documents. This script will create a document in my Google Drive and then put a paragraph in the Google Doc and then send me the link via email. All right. So to show the magic of this code, I'm going to just keep my Google Drive here on the left-hand side. And then I'm also going to open the email. All right. Like that, so that you see how it works almost instantly when I run the script. I just created this account for this live stream. All right. So I'll put it here. Now I can run it. The first time you run a script and you're trying to access other Google applications, it will usually ask you for authorization. And then you can review the permission and basically choose which accounts you're going to use to run this application. Don't be scared by this. It's only checking whether you're going to give access for the Google scripts to read and compose email using your Gmail account and view and manage your own Google Doc. Just hit allowed. Now it's running it, and then you can look at this window here. See, a Google Doc has been created, and then just wait a few more seconds, and see, I got a document right here. So basically, by this script shows us how to create a document by using this document app.create. Modify the contents of a document. Get the URL of the document, and then create and send an email. So this is a very simple script that demonstrates the power of Google Apps Script. The demo screen is actually a bit blurry. Okay. Is it better now? All right. So this is the script. Today, I may not have enough time to go over every single detail, but I will try to explain that a little bit more before we dive into another example of using Google Script to merge and create certificates. So the first one is like, well, the function, I'm not going to explain that, but this one, documents app.create. So everything, not everything, most of the script starts with choosing which app you're trying to interact with. For example, if I'm trying to get a Google Sheet, I can do sheet app dot spreadsheet app dot, and then I can open by ID. So you may ask, oh, what is this ID? If you look at a Google Doc, any Google Doc, right? I'm going to open a Google Doc. And here in the URL, this is ID, right? Between the edit and the D. This is the ID of a Google Doc. It's a unique document or unique ID for each. There's a unique ID for each Google Doc. and you can refer to this ID so that you can open the document, right? So for this one, it has to be spreadsheet, and it can be a slideshow as well. All right, or it can be a calendar as well. So here are some examples on how to access different Google surfaces in the script. All right, so by getting the, a reference or an instance of the documents, then you can start diving into modifying the contents, making a copy of it, and you can always search Google Apps scripts reference, which will bring you to the developer page, and it will show you all the references, samples, guides, and it will even show you how, like, there's a step-by-step guide showing you how to learn the app script. Okay, so there are many resources on the web. I'm just showing you how we can use it in an educational setting. I'm going to leave that script, and now we're back to Google Drive, and you can see there's a document which is a standalone script. This script is like when I double click on that, it will open. It's a standalone one. But when we are working on a Google Doc, right? For example, I have a Google Doc. This is a Google Doc. That goes with this Google Doc. So if you go to Tools, there's a script editor. This is a bit different than the one that we just created, because this one is a script that works with this specific Google Doc. All right. So it will still open that code editor, but this script will only work with that document. But when you're trying to do something like get active documents, it will refer to this document. All right. So there are two ways of creating a Google script. You can either create a standalone Google script by going to Google Apps Script, or you can go to any Google Doc and then go to Tools and then choose Script Editor. Okay. So I hope you managed to write a simple Google Apps Script. Do you have any question regarding the app script? All right. If not, we're going to move on. This one is a bit heavy. All right. And I'm going to share the code here. I'm going to share the source code in this presentation later. I'm going to add one more slide here at the end of this. So at the moment, I'm not sharing the source code. But what I would like you to try is to click this link here. All right, this will bring you to a Google form. And this one is actually a Google Connect with a Google script that I've written this morning. And what it does is it will generate certificates on the go. All right, I'll show you how it works first, and then I'm going to explain how it works afterward. So this is the Google form, and you should be able to access it. If you don't have access to this, it's fine. I will do a live demonstration as well. But let me just double check whether you have access to this. Settings. Okay, I'm going to uncheck this. So now you should be able to fill in this form. All right. The link to this form is in the presentation right here. So you should be able to try it now by filling in the forms. And if you're not trying it, I'm going to do it. And then you're going to see how it works. So let's say I'm organizing a robotics event, and I need to generate some certificates. In the old days, we may use mail merge, right? And with this setup, we can easily use Google Slide, and we can then customize it. we can use Google Slide and Google Form and generate all the certificates on the go. I'm going to put my name here. Alexandra, thank you for filling in the form. As you can see, your certificate has been generated. The email doesn't really matter, I'm just collecting it. In theory, we can email the form as well. When I hit submit, you can see that the certificate is generated automatically on the fly on the right-hand side. Right. And of course, the coolest thing for Google Slide is that I can go to File, and then I can just download it as a PDF. I can print it out if I want to, right? So this one is a pretty interesting use of Google Scripts. I mean, as I mentioned, you can do almost anything with Google Form, like connect with database and do some web services. Now I'm going to show you quickly how I developed this. All right. So I started by creating the form for sure, right? So I'm collecting the name and the school. And then I went on, I actually didn't create the certificates myself. I just went on to just look for certificates, Google Slide template. Right, and I chose the first one, and then I made a copy of it. So I first, like in the beginning, I created two files, a form and a slide, the templates I would like to use. Then I went to responses, and then I go to this Google spreadsheet. I collect all the responses to a spreadsheet. So there are three files, right? One, Google Form, we have the Google Slide, and then also the Google Spreadsheet. This is the thing that this is where we do the magic. In the Google Spreadsheet, I go to Tool, and then I click Script Editor. And then I start writing code. This one took me around 30 to 40 minutes. Of course, I had some previous experience. And I'm going to share this with you later, share the code with you later. And I'll put the link to all the resources in this presentation at the end of this, or like maybe 5 to 10 minutes after we end this session. But you get the idea. We have a Google Scripts that link with the Google Spreadsheet. And then I wrote a function called onSubmit. What it does is when anyone submits a Google submits anything via the Google form, I'm going to trigger this function. All right. When this function is triggered, and of course I put the slide here because that's the documents that I want to modify. So when someone submitted anything via the form, there will be a new record being created here. And that will also pass to this function called onSubmit. Then I extract the value. As you can see here, e.namedValues. The named values is actually the first column, all this. So I can actually get the timestamp as well. And I pass it to the merge slide function. The merge slide function will go over all the page elements on this Google slide. So it will look at the first slide and look for this part. Like there are so many different parts in this document, right? So in Google Slide, every single text box or shape are considered as an element. By going over every single element, I will check the type of the elements. If it is a shape, then potentially it can be text as well. Then I will check the text and see if it is the same as student's name, right? So what it does is first it duplicates the first slide. All right. Duplicates the first slide. Here, I do a duplication, duplicates the first slide, pass it to merge slide, and then go over every single document. And it will check whether the text is student's name. If it is student name, it will take the variable that is submitted by the user, replace that text with the user's name, and also it will check whether the original text is school name. If it is, then it will replace it with the school name submitted by the user. And that's it, really. That's all I did. And then that's why you can see when someone submits something via the Google form. Let me put it here. Right. I'll just put my name again. Submit. It will take the response and automatically generates this. All right. One thing that makes that completes the entire loop is how do we trigger the writes function? Although I name it as onSubmit, it wouldn't automatically run, but there's something called trigger in the Google Script world, Google Apps Script world. So here's an icon, right? When you click on this icon, it will bring you to a page that manages, because it's a coding project. So you see it here. It's the Google Apps Script control panel. You can add a trigger, and then you can choose which function you would like to run. Like in this case, I chose onSubmit, right? And then select the event source. It can be a time-driven script. So for instance, if you have a spreadsheet that you share with a group of people and you want to consolidate it every day, you can put it as a time-driven. You can also choose from calendar. So from calendar, there could be a calendar update or some other events that will trigger this method. But in this case, I'm going to stick with form spreadsheet. Then I can choose on form submit. Every time when someone submitted a form, submitted something via the form, the onSubmit function will be triggered. Then I can save it. I can then open, have a look, modify the trigger, or view the project detail. All right, it will show you the error rates. If if something didn't work, it will actually show you how, like, what happened. And there's some log and some data that you can check to check and track down the problems of your script. Then you can modify it. So honestly, there's a lot of information, I understand, but I'm going to share all these files with you and the script with you so that you can play with it on your own. And I'm going to do a little bit more step-by-step instructions when I'm sharing this resource. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, I'm going to include the link. Going to include the link here after we've ended this session. All right, I'm going to check the live chat really quickly. Seems no one has shared or put anything there. But then, so this is what what we have covered today. I apologize for not being interactive enough. I wish I can do something like Khan Academy does in the past. Well, I mean on the platform, but this is the first time I'm doing any coding, like kind of hardcore coding webinar. I hope that is useful for you. At least you know what Google Apps Scripts can do, and try to write your first script. This live stream is recorded, and you can always revisit it and go back to YouTube, have a look, follow the steps. And if you have any question, this is my contact. Okay? So do you have any question or anything specific you would like to ask about Google Apps Script? If not, we are probably going to end here today. But I think before we end here, Jason is going to share a feedback form. And before I close this, before I end this session, I would also like to invite you, well, if you are interested in doing more on Google Script, or you do some coding or teaching computer science or coding with Google Script, feel free to contact me, and I would like to collaborate with you. We do have some students who are pretty passionate about Google Script in our school. So if you're interested, let me know.
Yes. So now here is a feedback form. So please put some feedback to us, and then let us know what is your what are your needs. What is your need from the webinar, and then we can do another webinar with another topic as you like. Okay, so put down some feedback here, and if you have some questions, please use the chat box, the live chat to put some feedback here. Hamlet, there is a questions. You can take a look at it.
Let's see. Is there a tech forum community for discussing the code? You mean this code, or like this specific code, or like a community? Because I usually just do Stack Overflow, right? When someone has any problem with coding. Yeah, it seems there's a community, so we can always check that right here. I just Google Script community, so it is available. And we can always run the sessions if you're interested. We can always just focus on one specific Google app, Google Tools, one of the Google Suite app, and then we can dive in a little bit more. I'm just trying to give you an overview of Google Script today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did help for sure. Yeah, feel free to contact me. You can just send me an email. We can connect with you if you have any question.
Maybe you can connect us from the Facebook page.
Yeah.
This one. And actually, we have a WhatsApp group, but the WhatsApp group mainly using Cantonese. I'm not sure do you know Cantonese or not, but if you do have any problem, you can go to the Facebook page and leave a message, and then I can read the message and I will contact other trainers, because we have a lot of trainers. Just like today, we have Eric Cho, and Hamlet Lin and me. So we are the trainers. So maybe we can help you in different aspects.
Thank you so much. Again, like, this may not be the best platform to talk some coding thing, but it's really an introduction to Google Script. So I hope it is useful for you. Should we wait for a few more minutes, like till 12:45 maybe?
Yes, maybe 45. Cantonese is fine. That's great. So if you are good in Cantonese, or maybe if you can read Chinese, you can also join this group. Wait a moment. I will send out a group. This one. Yes, this one. This is our WhatsApp group. You can fill in the forms, and then I will add you in the group later. Yes. So just two things. The first thing is we have a WhatsApp group here. So if you're interested, you can join the WhatsApp group by filling the Google form. And also we have a feedback form, because we really want to know what you need in the webinar, or what can I help? What can we help better in the webinar? So you can just put down some feedback on here. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, please please use the feedback form. I would like to hear from you and how we can improve this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing I would like to share. Is there? Wait a moment. Yeah. There is a Google GEG APAC official page, and you can find another section from different countries here. This is the official page. You can based on your language, you can choose a webinar that fit for you. like we have English, Cantonese, and also Japanese, something like that. And yeah, and then you can stay tuned to our GEG Facebook page because we have a lot of event in these 2 days. We have some topic talking about the Meet, the Google Hangouts Meet, and some topic we're talking about the Google Classroom. Yeah, just stay tuned.
All right, it's 12:45. We'll have break between other sections.
Okay, so
all right, take care.
Yeah, see you later.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Friday. Bye.